The next guest is a former Veterans Affairs psychiatrist. She's exposing what actually happened, a whistleblower, during her tenure at a VA hospital in West Virginia. She blames the VA for 2 suicides and says that the treatment for some veterans and what they received is worse than if they hadn't been treated at all. Here to explain for herself is VA whistleblower Dr. Margaret. Moxness is with us. Doctor, tell us about what you saw and what you believe.
Well, Sean, first I have to say, those stories are
stunning,
heart-wrenching,
and sad, and widespread.
Terrible to hear. Terrible to hear. But I think it would be very helpful for your viewership to try to hear these stories on 2 levels. That is, the veterans system is so large, and you have a layer of workers, doctors and nurses and technicians caring for people, and then you have the bureaucracy. You have administrative people. And it is big. So the doctors are not only trying to work, but you have to manipulate through this maze, this behemoth bureaucracy. So when we find fault in these stories, these cases will be examined, we hope, by law enforcement even, to find out if there was malpractice, mistreatment, or even a crime.
But you're saying
you want to find out.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm really tough on time here. But you had patients, you'd see them, then you wouldn't see them for months. And
well, see,
some of them,
we didn't have a wait list in my clinic. They actually got it right. They got them in, which was good. But then it was days, then weeks, then months for their second visit. And in psychiatry, sometimes partial treatment is actually worse than none. I mean, you've got to mind these people and take care of them. So they weren't waiting on a list. They were waiting in the clinic for their second visit, which was worse, you see, than a waiting list because they were partially treated. So that was why my tenure was so short, because I just refused to participate in a system that was harming my patients. And you tried to speak out. What happened when you spoke out? Well, we talked. At first they listened, they seemed sympathetic, and eventually the sympathy dries up, and then they stopped answering, and pretty soon they just didn't hear me. I was basically shut up.
Unbelievable.
So that's where my story is, because I really didn't have a high rate of suicide, statistically, but my story is relevant to these stories in that the administration, I think because of its size and its cumbersomeness, is not adaptable, is not nimble, and it cannot respond. And you can have the finest care providers, and there are very good doctors and nurses in the VA, and veterans will tell you that. A lot of them will tell you they get very good treatment, but it's so hard to pull together and negotiate this maze. And that is where the president, when he said, I'm going to cut bureaucracy, that would have helped. But it's bigger, in fact. So that's,
Doctor,
to me,
thank you.
What the problem is.
Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for speaking out. Hopefully that'll go a long way to helping these guys get the treatment we promised them that they deserve.
I'm glad you're talking about it. We really need someone to talk about it.
We'll continue to follow it. I promise you that. And coming up, thank